Scratchy, 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 not scratchy. Hello there, boys and girls. Welcome to the brand new video. Okay, in this video, we will try, and I say try, and I'll tell you why. We will try to remove these deep scratches that have been caused to this G-Class Mercedes. So there are some here as well as on the fender. We'll try to polish them, and there's a big one here, pretty standard though, with someone with a key, you know, just coming to a car and scratching it in. Yeah, so it's very deep, it's gone through the color, as well as on the other side. One here is a little bit smaller, but it's also gone through the paint. I guess someone was trying to be very symmetrical. So we'll try to fill this out as well. So this is a challenge because this color, the chocolate color, is very, it's very full of flakes, various different flakes. Now let me show you this with my trusty test lamp. You see? So many flakies inside. So look at here. So there's a lot of crystals in this paint. And there's a lot of dark paint in it. So now we'll try something different. Stay tuned for an explanation. So this is a small compressor, which is intended to be used with airbrush. So this is a set of airbrushes with different types of outlets, and because this paint has a lot of crystals, we'll use the 0.8. So a lot of people ask me what a hardener is. So basically it's a bonding caused between the paint, or simply say it just hardens things. Yes, hell of an explanation. So we have a little exception here. The base here is acrylic, so it's already shiny. So we will directly mix it with the hardener instead of adding clear coat. And the ratio of this is something you have to remember. You always have to have a correct ratio of hardener to paint. In this case, it is 2:1. So, for example, 10 drops of paint would require 5 drops of hardener. This here is the degreaser, which we will use to degrease, and 2 different tapes. We'll use this tape because it's thin and very stretchy. We'll use it to isolate the scratches themselves, and I will show you why. So stay tuned, and we'll try to solve these damages caused on this Mercedes-Benz. So, first of all, before we start doing anything, we have to degrease. Remember, degreasing is important, boys and girls. So you have to make sure that the surface is clean, because that's the only way that you'll be able to perform this task successfully. So always be very liberal when it comes to degreasing and degreaser. In previous videos I used these methods as well, but today we will try a new method with a UV paint. A paint that is dried by the UV lamp and can be dried off in about 5 minutes. And that should be a big improvement when it comes to speed and efficiency of work, and I do hope that the results will be very favorable. Even though by far the results were great as well. Now, let's use the thin paint. The thin tape, yes. And we will put the thin tape just at the very edge of the scratch. So we'll start at the outside. And you have to go right against the edge, as you can see here. You have to be very thorough and detailed, and this is going to be the slowest part of the process. But if you perform this right, the job will be a lot more successful. So remember, this is probably the longest part of the job, but also the most important one as well. So let me just continue applying this using my super speed. Yeah. Okay, so I'll do the same thing again from the inside of the scratch. Just like so. Super speed times 3. And along the edge we go. Oh yeah. Now, I won't show you the rest of the process of masking, but I will do a big tape now to tape the cellophane protection around it, and this is what that would look like now. There we go. So this is what it looks like. This is what I had to protect just to fill out this small section of damage on the car. As you can see here, that is the distance between the scratch that you need to leave, maybe even smaller. And now first we'll try to remove these damages first. And then along the way I will also explain what I'm doing in what way. For this job we'll be using Kovacs papers. We'll be using, there's many granulations here, but we'll be using with 1500 to thin this out as quick as possible, and continue with the 2000 grit paper. Of course, here is our trusty Mirka de Rossa 5.0 circular polisher. And yeah, let's begin. So for this job, we'll use the lowest speed settings, number 1. And this is what this looks like without applying any pressure whatsoever. Again, no pressure, boys and girls. As you can see, a lot of scratches have been removed. Scratches that looked very bad indeed. However, whatever you want to do more, if you want to sand down more, that's a risk. Will you be able to remove more than just scratches? This is something that I wouldn't advise, so only a limited use of sanding process. So now we have this section as well, but this one we'll just do with 2000 grit. We'll skip the 1500. As you can see, I'll probably have to fill in these as well, but yeah. It will be a lot better than it is right now. I cannot stop myself. Okay, so now I will punish these two parts and you will see that later. But back to the paint. As I said before, the most important part is to have a correct ratio between paint and the hardener. So, for example, I'll take this dripping thing and I'll take around 20 drops of paint. So here we go. Do you want to count? I'm not going to advise that. I'll do this quickly. So 20 drops of paint means 10 drops of hardener. Let's mix this up a little bit, put it in our syringe, and this is the pattern that we're looking for. It's basically a pattern that sprays small particles of dust. So it's not thick at all. As you can see, it's very dusty. And we'll use this for the first applying. So it's just dust, basically colored dust. So now, let's see this process itself. Here we are applying dust. Well, I mean paint, but in a dusty format. Very slowly, very evenly, like a true polisher master, we apply the paint. So now we'll leave it for about 10 minutes for the base itself to dry off, and then we'll continue until we fill in this scratch. Meaning until it's more in there than the factory paint. And I also forgot to say, this paint is impossible to get in acrylic form. However, I have a very good supplier who understands paints, and what they had to do is know all of the components of the color itself. And when we were looking for this color specifically, we found a component that when mixed in the base can make a little bit of an anomaly, because when you apply it, there's a component that depending on the light or the angle of viewing can change the color shade itself. So in order to remove this component, we removed it from the acrylic paint itself, and now we will have an even applying of the paint depending on whichever angle you might be viewing for. So let's now continue applying this paint with our paintbrush, and we'll continue until it fills in the groove. I do hope that I was able to explain to you what a hardener is, what a base is, etc. Oh yeah, putting in some more. Just put it in. So as you can see here, the paint is dry, but it should be, because it's been 7 hours since we applied it, so it's night already, as you can see. And now we will try to sand this down and polish it. The way we're gonna sand is using this Kovacs mini file, using a Kovacs paper of 1500 grit, and to see if we were able to fill in the groove. Grooving it on. Yeah. So, after sanding down the part that we filled in, it looks pretty solid, but I think this will be 90% original when finished, but we have to continue sanding the other side, which is a lot deeper when it comes to grooves. Then I'll show you what it looks like once it's polished and done. I think this will be pretty solid. So as you can see here, this one is a lot deeper, longer. It's quite thicker, this one. So I'll show you what it looks like after sanding, and here we are. All we need to do now is polish and see what it looks like, boys and girls.
What we do here is go back.
So let's see if we were able to do anything to these damages. For this job I'm not using my Mirka, but don't worry. So here's the result, boys and girls. Looking from afar, you don't see much. Yes, you will notice that there's something on the car when you come in very closely. But considering the damage we had on the car, and not repainting the whole thing, I believe that this is pretty solid. Well, let's look at the bumper as well. There's only a small part which I had to fill in with paint, but this is the big one. These are the doors with a very mixed, with a very thick scratch. It is noticeable, yes, but will you notice it from far away? Probably not. Not as good as the other side, but the damage here was considerably bigger. And this is the result we have. So until next time, boys and girls, do take care of yourselves. Like, share, subscribe, ring the bell icon, and until next time, leave a comment, ask a question. Goodbye, boys and girls.